consulted to speak as the keynote. I had indicated that it clashed with a program, another program of mine. But the Press Union of Liberia was kind enough to therefore shift their program to accommodate me. I'm deeply humbled by that because you also had the option of many other people who could speak to this platform and probably speak better than I would be speaking with you today. So again, thank you to the President, the Executive Committee, and to each and every member of the Press Union of Liberia. I've been here since 2022, and I've had the distinct honor and privilege of making some friends amongst you. We talk regularly on phone, on WhatsApp, and engage on matters of public interest, on matters that shape Liberia, shapes Liberia's democracy, for the kind of transformation I believe in, for the kind of transformation I believe that every well-meaning citizen of Liberia has for this blessed and beautiful country. I've always had an affinity to media, to press, right from a very early age. Not because I was interested, so to speak, in being a journalist, but from an early age, my parents inculcated in me the need to read the newspaper. And I believe that the newspaper contributed significantly to my knowledge, to my vocabulary, because I could take the newspaper and underline all the words that had been, printed that I didn't understand, and go and look it up in the dictionary and add that to my vocabulary. And so for me, from a very early age, press has shaped me. It's also shaped me in my thought and in believing in the power of the pen over the power of any weapon. Later on in my years, where I did a lot of advocacy when it came to the indigenous port operators in the maritime domain, it gave me personal and very insightful view of the power of the press. I made the media my friend, and believe me, it was the biggest and most potent weapon we had when I served in the private maritime industry in Ghana, to reverse policy, to stall policy, and to advocate for a better working environment for port operators. So indeed, I have a first-hand knowledge of what you bring to the table. And so for me, when I came to Liberia in 2022, I was excited in this new role, having worked with the media in my immediate past job as well, and understanding the power of media visibility. I was eager to work with the media here in Liberia. And so you can imagine my disappointment when at the time the Press Union of Liberia was embroiled in dispute and disunity, and therefore, sadly, we had to shy away from engaging with any particular set that at the time purported to be representative of the Press Union of Liberia. And so today I stand here with you, happy to see the Press Union of Liberia. Congratulations to the President. I'm happy to see that you speak again with one voice, that you have one vision, and you have one purpose. And that purpose is to serve Liberia and to serve Liberia well. So I join voices and to say happy 61st commemoration of the First Union of Liberia. It's been 61 years, some of which have been glorious, some of which have not been so glorious.
Yeah.
You've had your good times and you've had your hard times. But I like the theme that you chose, commemorating past, constructing our future. It tells me that you are forward thinking. It tells me that you have a vision for the First Union of Liberia. And today, for the first time, I've learned something. I learned that you have the journalist creed, something I didn't know before. And I was amazed because some of the things I would share with you are actually aligned to the journalist creed. Yesterday, when I decided to pen my thoughts and put together my keynote speech, I said to myself, what do you write to a group of people whose work it is to write? What could I possibly write to the experts? Things that they probably know better than I do. But then I said to myself, I'll do something that I think I do when I want to speak honestly and frankly. I speak from my heart. I will not be speaking from a speech where I'll be thinking, oh, maybe this is wrong, and then we try and... So today, permit me to break protocol, take off my diplomatic hat, and speak to you as a sister and as a friend. And before I go on, Madam Chair of the Resource Mobilization Committee, I, in my personal capacity, will donate to the construction $1,000. I want to tell you that it's a sacrifice. It's not money that is, just lying about. But I made this solemnly because I believe in the power of the press to shape the destiny of nations. So I'm hoping that some years from now, I can look back, or even if I'm not there to look back, my children can look back and say, Mama made a good investment. So, like I said, I would thank the new leadership because I see a progressive leadership. I listened to his speech carefully. He did not shy away from speaking the truth on the ills that confront us as press union or as press practitioners. Today, sadly, I cannot do what I used to do when I was a child. I cannot pick up a newspaper and underline words like, oh, I've learned new words today. And so I've got something to add to my vocabulary. Indeed, today when I sit in my office and I underline words or things in the newspaper, and if you know me in my office, they know I can just use my red pen. It's because I'm looking at spelling mistakes, I'm looking at grammatical errors, I'm looking at poorly constructed sentences, I'm looking at phrases that don't make sense, I'm looking at quotations that don't make sense, and I'm asking myself, where is our pursuit for excellence? I'm asking myself, we are supposed to lead in the art of writing. We are supposed to communicate our views, our vision for people. But it is not appealing anymore. And it is one thing that we must work on if we want to be a press medium that is well respected and that is revered. Today when you read the newspapers, I have many that come to my desk. I know those that are pro-government, those that are opposition papers. And so when I read those papers, I take it with a pinch of salt. And then you have to try and decipher yourself what is the truth and where is the objectivity. It is not to say that every publication, whether it's in the print media, whether it's on radio or on social media, is subjective. No. You have some very objective writers, and they have become the stalwarts and the role models in society today. And indeed, some of them are seated here amongst us. And so for especially the young journalists, my hope is that you would use these stalwarts as your role models and realize that, as they say, a good name is better than riches. I've seen, and it's typical, so many recording devices here. And when we pick up our newspaper tomorrow, I want to bet someone, and I want you to prove me wrong for once, that I will not read whether it's print or media or even on radio or TV. And Josephine Nkrumah said, then you quote the longest speech, then you continue. Incidentally, ironically, paradoxically, and then continue the long quotation. And even for that quotation, sometimes you don't quote correctly, spelling mistakes. I want to challenge everybody whose recording device is here today. But tomorrow you will analyze what I say. You will bring your insights to what we share here today, and that will be the crux and the essence of your publications. So that's my challenge.
And so we just witnessed the
Ladies and gentlemen, when we have
legal luminary turned
a press
politician
that
at one
is
point
devoid of
just walked in
partisanship
and
or
part of this
partisan
event.
views,
Of course, again, this
it
is an IT
guides our
collaborative
leadership
right
and our
for which
listenership
define us.
to make informed decisions. Your role guides our path for good governance. It guides our path for transformation and serves as the North Star to a country's values as espoused through the stroke of your pen and the tap of your keyboards. So you see, the burden on you is heavy because your writing tools are the ones that should be revered. Those writing tools should be steeped in integrity, in patriotism, and a pursuit for excellence. If your writing tools are not a burden upon your heart, then it means you have taken your purpose and your task lightly. You have trivialized it, and if you have trivialized it, it means therefore that if you don't value your writing tools, then why would you expect someone else to value you? So the question of press freedom is a very serious one, and it's something that ECOWAS follows very closely, and something that ECOWAS espouses and advocates. And media has always been one key stakeholder of all of ECOWAS's stakeholder engagements. But you see, there are two sides to the coin. And I'm glad the President spoke about ethical journalism. When you are seen as not ethical, and when a certain group of people or sees you as someone whose conscience can be tossed by the green bills, then the only value they put to you is the pocket change they can give you and change your minds. So if we really want to see press freedom, it is as much a duty of state as it is of the press in any country. It takes two to tango. Over the years, I looked up the index of the World Press Freedom, and permit me to share. The index said that in 2023, Liberia was at 64.34%. 2024, it was at 65.13%. So we saw a little upward adjustment. But I also recall the history of commemorating our past. And we know the dark days where you had no voice to speak. And so you can see that Liberia has, as a whole, has moved upwards when it comes to press freedom. Is it to say that we are in an ideal state at the moment? I think not. I think there's a lot that still needs to be done. And the key thing is for you to continue to use your weapon. That is your pen, that is your laptop, that is your phone, to begin to continue the narrative of pushing and pressing for press freedom. You must not shy away in persistently and consistently speaking and advocating for press freedom. And I'll tell you why. You, as I said earlier, shape the minds of the people by what you write, by what you speak. So you can be a force for good. And when the press is suppressed, it's symptomatic of a suppressed society. Suppressed society and democracy never go hand in hand. And so to deepen the democratic culture of Liberia, it's important that press union remains free, media is able to articulate objectively and with integrity, knowing that according to your creed, you speak for the people. We must inculcate in us a deeply inquisitive mind, a mind or a character that seeks knowledge and truth in order to share that truth with society, the people that we serve. To my mind, the press is the unofficial public servant. You are not paid by the public purse unless you work in a public institution, but you serve the public nonetheless. And yours is a reverent duty, yours is a noble one, because you're serving voluntarily from the heart, and you're serving without expectation of a reward, except the reward that is paid by the press house that you come from. And in today's world, you don't even need to go to journalism school to call yourself a journalist. We have everybody blogging online, everybody reading online, everybody articulating views online. But the difference between those kind of bloggers and you is that you have taken on this noble profession as what you want to do to serve humanity. Those ones may approach it from a purely personal interest point of view. But if today we are going to fight the canker of mis and disinformation, then it will come from you. And so I urge you that you will find it in you to always seek the truth. Seek it and to report it objectively so that we can fight that canker that is engulfing us in our sub-region. Today, mis and disinformation is one of the biggest threats to our security in the West African sub-region. It's become a tool for propaganda, it's become a tool for misinforming and steering people's minds in a certain way. And if you as journalists do not become the truth seekers, the truth sayers, and those who fact check everything and counter it, your voices get drowned by misinformation and disinformation, and you are no longer serving the people that need you to make informed decisions. We need to look forward. I look forward to the Liberia Media, what do you call it, the Liberia National Media Council. I think it's a step in the right direction, and we need to be commended for this. It shows for me a growing maturity of press in Liberia, or of media in Liberia. The future of media broadcasting and the future of broadcasting, media and broadcasting in Africa is one that is critical to driving Africa's transformation. And if you do not have a media council that begins to shape ethics and values and protocols on how you conduct yourselves as media personnel, then you'll be doing yourselves a great disservice and be doing humanity an even worse one. So I want you to go full steam ahead and support. I fully support you in this new dimension of a media council that begins to shape and put in place standards and values that can guide us and drive our agenda. There's something that I read that was in the concept that you sent to me. You said, looking for where you had this in my notes. You said your theme is commemorating our past and constructing our future. And for me, all of what you said in your concept is encapsulated in one phrase that I picked up. You said you wanted to build a media house, but you said this media house will be more than a building. It will be a symbol of press freedom, a hub of excellence, and a legacy of generations to come. These are not empty words. This is a Herculean task that you've taken on. Unfortunately today, many of us find ourselves in the field of journalism not by choice, sometimes by default, by mistake, or for want of something that we did not get. So you finish school, you probably didn't find a job, and you decide, I can, freelance journalism for a while, and at least when I go to an event, at the end of it, I'll get $10, I'll get $20. Am I right or wrong? But that mindset does not drive a pursuit of excellence. And that does not build the legacy that we want. And that's why for me it's important that you are setting up this council to set standards so that nobody just gets up and becomes a member of the Press Union of Liberia because you can pay your dues. But you're a Press Union of Liberia because you believe in the creed, you believe in the work of journalism, and you understand your role in shaping destinies of your nation. Say you want a hub of excellence. Your hub of excellence, as you prepare to find in that media house, does not happen when the media house has been constructed. It is the everyday steps you take that build and shape your character as journalists, your ethos as a journalist, and your pride in the work that you do as a journalist. If you take pride in your work every day, that hub of excellence, by the time that house is constructed, the Stanton Peabody House is constructed, we would have evolved into a group of people who are synonymous with excellence. But currently, and I said this a few minutes ago about how we even don't quote correctly. It's mediocre. And that is not what should shape us. So the words that you have put in that document, hold yourselves to it. Excellence doesn't happen in a vacuum, and it doesn't happen overnight. Excellence takes repeated actions where each and every time you seek to do a little better than the first one. So if today I wrote and I put in 3/4 of the speech had quotations, and you had the few words of incidentally, interestingly, no. You would say next time I will pay a little more attention to the essence of the conversation and reproduce it objectively from my own analytical mind. And if you give the people who tend to you as the beacons of knowledge, as the beacons of truth, to understand a little better what was said, what was published, and what was meant to be communicated. I want to sit before a journalist who interviews me, and before I go to that interview, I'm squirming in my seat and thinking of how well prepared I must be. Not thinking that it's just another simple talk. I want to be challenged to become also better at what I want to communicate because of who is asking me the question. But if I'm going to be talking and you allow me to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and then when I finish, so what is the next step? You don't do your homework. I have some of you who come to try and interview me and ask me what questions you should ask me. And I immediately say I don't want your interview. Because it is not about me wanting to get across something and just using you as it. You must be inquisitive, and before you get there, you must be well prepared. If you want to talk to me about ECOWAS on a particular issue, go online, research, get the knowledge, challenge me to my views. Don't let me just talk and we say, now we have Madame Josephine Chroma Wrestler, thank you very much. I come out feeling empty, I come out feeling unchallenged, and I come out feeling disappointed. So my challenge to you, my dear brothers and sisters, your mind of inquisition, your mind of a quest, you should have an insatiable desire for knowledge, an insatiable quest to know and to analyze and to question, so that when people sit before you, they know that it's not about, business as usual. It's real talk. I want the real hard talks from you. But when you are not prepared, you know what happens? You allow people to get away with anything they say. And sadly, you are the ones who have provided a platform that misinforms and misleads the people that we serve. So this pursuit of excellence and this legacy of excellence that you are seeking, it is not in the building. It is in who makes the building. So believe me, you may not have your Stanton Peabody house today. You may be operating from your small office on this 9th Street. But the building does not determine the power who you are. So my challenge is from now, because it's going to take you some years to be fully established, to have that Stanton Peabody Media House. But from now, the building blocks, that one brick per individual, per member, you should start with the building blocks of integrity, the building blocks of knowledge, the building blocks of excellence. That is what becomes the legacy. It's not the building that sits there. Because beyond that building, the power lies in your mind and in the legacy of what you leave for the people of Liberia. Your legacy should be one that transcends generations. Stanton Peabody's incarceration in 1961, is it no, 1964, sorry, in 1964, became a galvanizing incident that drove the establishment of the Press Union of Liberia. That is a legacy. He was so powerful in your minds and in your sector that you have thought it fit to name this edifice that you will intend to build after him. That is a legacy. So that those after you, everybody would want to name something after one of you. Because you embodied the essence of true journalism. You embodied the essence of speaking truth to power, even to the extent where your freedom was taken away from you. And whilst I do not propose that anyone's freedom, any journalist's freedom is taken from him or her, my challenge to you is that do something that leaves a legacy. You're one brick, one journalist. I want to tell you, let those building blocks or building bricks be bricks of values. Values that build legacy. Values that stand the test of time. Values that are timeless for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to speak briefly about the nexus between the press and transformation. When I came to Liberia in 2022, I started visiting some of the counties. Some of them were certainly established before the establishment of the Press Union of Liberia. But I was confronted by the stark reality that development began and ended, not even in Montserrat, probably in Monrovia. I saw some counties And I was in a state of shock. I said, for a country that has existed longest than any other country on the continent of Africa, to see the level of underdevelopment was sad. And I remember looking at someone with me, and then I said, since Liberia's establishment, 177 years now, at the time I think it was 174 years when I took that visit, I said, my God, leadership has failed this nation. I was saddened, not just by the neglect of lack of infrastructure. I was equally saddened that in that year to read that Liberia, with the vast natural resources we have, you say that throw anything on the ground and it would sprout into something that you can eat. But in that year, Liberia was on the World Hunger Index at 113 out of 121 countries. And I said to myself, Liberia has no business being a hungry nation. Liberia has the ability to be the bread basket of West Africa. I believe sincerely, and therefore I fully align to the Arrest agenda for inclusive development on the pillar of agriculture. I believe agriculture will drive Liberia's transformation. So I want to challenge you to take a keen interest in the Arrest agenda and to hold government accountable to that agenda. Holding government accountable in a manner that is objective, in a manner that is analytical, and in a manner that serves the people to make the informed decisions they need to make. A press that is not free, or a press that is not vibrant, a press that does not play its role, will underserve the nation it belongs to. And transformation will be difficult to be achieved because the press would have failed the people. It would have failed to hold people's feet to the fire and cause them to seek to do that which they promised the people they would do and for which they were voted into power. There's nobody sitting amongst us who doesn't want true transformation for this country. And that transformation, you have a role to play in there. So not because a political figure, a head of an institution, gave you $20 at the end of an event, you refuse to question or challenge what they put out. And if they put out the truth, and they spoke the truth, we must also put that out. Press is not there just to criticize. Press is there to expose truth. Because it says that the press, they are the watchdogs. They are the guardians of the pillars of our democracy. And as guardians of the pillars of our democracy, accountability, good governance, transparency, minimizing corruption are things that should occupy your minds. In addition, you must be so engrossed and involved in the development agenda of the nation that you are able to showcase and tell us if we are going in the right direction or the wrong direction. That demands something of you. It demands constantly learning, because life is learning every day. It demands doing everything to build your capacity so that you can analyze. So whether you decide to go in the field of economics or agriculture or social development, human capital development, you are so well versed in it that any government official, when they see you, they know they've got to get their act together. And you do that from the standpoint of humility and service to the people. So ladies and gentlemen, finally, I believe that for Africa, our greatest issue is mindset. That, for me, has been our greatest issue. And I say that from my experience over the years in the field of civic education. I believe one of the things that has sustained Ghana's democracy is because of the institution that I served over the years. Civic education, or the National Commission for Civic Education in Ghana, is one that has been constitutionally created as a sister commission to the Elections Commission of Ghana. And the overarching principle or objective, is to inculcate in Ghanaian a democratic culture, driving awareness and adherence to civic rights and responsibilities. We always talk about our rights, we fail to talk about our responsibilities. There can be no right if there's no responsibility. They go hand in hand. And I believe that civic education has been one of the things that today makes Ghana one of the countries we look to in West Africa when we talk about democracy. It is by no means to say that Ghana's democracy is perfect. I still think we have a long way to go. But it is about talking about the human capital of a country having a democratic culture instilled in them. And that democratic culture does not happen by chance. It is deliberate, it is intentional. In Ghana, they chose to use the Civic Education Commission to drive the inculcation of, a democratic culture. Liberia doesn't have such an institution, but it's therefore an opportunity where you as media take and own that space and begin to talk about the values of a democratic culture. And when we talk about the values of a democratic culture, many people will talk about the issues around a culture of rule of law, a culture of accountability, and a culture of transparency. And I always say, those things are standing on other universal values. Values of honesty, of discipline, of hard work, of integrity, trustworthiness. Those for me are the fundamental values that we must espouse. And that is where you as media can begin to shape mindset by what you put out in the media space. If we all recall, many years ago in 1994 with the genocide in Rwanda, there were simmerings of disunity, but it took the articulation of one hate speech for the lives of 800,000 to be lost. It was media. That is how powerful it was. And it is in this same vein that I flip the coin and I demand of you a culture that speaks to the mindset of the people. So, whilst I will not be the one to attempt to give you a roadmap on how you achieve that, I can ask of each and every one of you that you turn the spotlight on your hearts and in your minds. And let your conscience speak for a better Liberia. I thank you for your attention.
That's our guest speaker for today's occasion. That's the 61st anniversary celebration of the Press Union of Liberia.
Her Excellency,
Madam
Ambassador Josephine Nkrumah, thank you ever so much.
So we have other guests here, and the representative from the embassy of Morocco here wants to take his exit because he has other engagements, so he will take his leave now. He needs to leave. Thank you ever so much for being a part of this occasion.
Thank you. And so there is a vehicle parked somewhere around the school's entry. The plate number is A535138. So you have to remove the vehicle because the students are coming out. A535138. So those of us who want to go to the bathroom is at the back there. Go straight down on your left. Just from here, go straight on your left. Thank you ever so much. For remarks, we move strictly to the program. Let the representative of the Liberia National Bar Association, represented here by the Secretary General. Put your hands together.
Mr. President of the Imperial and School of Officer and Ambassador, thank you for those words of motivation. I was also reached as a lawyer and it touched me personally. We spoke about excellence, and I think for us in the legal community, this is also very important for us. Thank you so very much. Distinguished members of the Fourth Estate, colleague, see some of legal practitioners here, colleague of the LMBA, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the National Bar Association, I bring you warm greetings from the Executive Council of the Bar, and likewise our national president, who is currently out of the country. We want to say congratulations to the PUL on this momentous occasion, your 61st anniversary. 61 years of service to nation and people is no small achievement. The Press Union Liberia has been a true watchdog of our society, a voice for the voiceless, and a conscience for the nation. For this, we deserve our collective respect and gratitude. The work of the press, like the work of lawyers, is central to democracy and development. A society can neither grow nor stabilize without professionals committed to truth, accountability, and the rule of law. Liberia needs lawyers. Liberia needs her lawyers, doctors, teachers, engineers, and yes, her journalists to stand firm, fearless, and vigorous in the pursuit of their respective responsibilities. Your reporting informs, educates, and sometimes even warns the nation. The progress of our society is tied directly to how boldly and ethically you carry out this sacred responsibility. Yet, as we celebrate, let us also reflect for every journalist who uncovers corruption, there may be another who misuses the pen for propaganda or personal gain. For every courageous reporter who speaks truth to power, there may be others who twist the truth for favor. The press union of Liberia must be both shield and sword, shielding the profession from external attacks and also cutting away the rout within. Do not shield journalists even when they transgress the law or abandon the ethics of your noble calling. To condone unprofessional conduct is to betray the very people you sought to inform and to enlighten. Journalism, like law, strives on public trust, and trust is earned when misconduct is met with swift, fair, and transparent discipline. I urge the period to intensify its campaign to self-cleansing and evaluation. Raise the bar, set higher standard. Make it clear that while journalism protects society, society must also be protected from irresponsible journalism. The people of Liberia will respect and cherish your profession when they see that you are the first to hold your own accountable. Permit me to speak frankly. I am convinced that the PUL must move towards a licensing regime for journalists in Liberia. Professions that are practiced without lessons are easily infiltrated by unscrupulous presidents who may undermine their dignity and credibility. Consider this: in Liberia, lawyers are licensed from the LMBA before being allowed to practice law in Liberia. Doctors are also licensed before they save lives. Pharmacists are licensed before dispensing medicines. Drivers are licensed before being entrusted with lives on the road. Nurses and midwives are licensed before caring for mother and children. Why then should journalists, one of the most powerful professions, will not silence journalists as some may fear? Rather, it will safeguard the profession against squats and imposters. And let me say this with emphasis: few years back or several years back, lawyers in Liberia were not licensed. And we observed several persons entering our courts and practicing law. They were quacks, and they created a lot of problems for the legal profession. Now, before you are considered a practicing lawyer in Liberia, the LMBA must license that individual. Whether you are practicing law for the past 5-10 years, if you are not licensed for this year, 2025, you have no authority to practice imposters. I challenge the PUL to venture into sin. It will save this noble profession and protect this profession from quacks and imposters. Licensing also protect the dignity of trained and ethical journalists. Licensing strengthens public confidence in the press. This also ensures continuous training and professional development. This provides a framework of discipline that is fair, structured, and transparent. The LMBA strongly encourages the Press Union of Liberia to initiate conversation with stakeholders on how to get engaged into licensing journalists through an independent press council or statutory regulators or self-regulating body for the protection of this noble profession. Journalism is too important to be left vulnerable. You must jealously guide your profession, ensuring that only those who meet minimum academic, ethical, and professional standards are admitted to practice in this jurisdiction. If every profession in Liberia raises its standard, the nation itself will rise. If you enforce discipline within, no one from outside will dare attempt to undermine you. Mr. President, members of the Press Union of Liberia, we salute your resilience, your courage, your continued relevance in shaping Liberia's future. As you commemorate your past and construct your future, know that the Liberian National Bar stands firmly with you. We pledge our continued support, collaboration, and solidarity in the shared mission of building a just, democratic, and prosperous Liberia. Together, lawyers and journalists can keep this nation on the path of accountability, integrity, and development. Again, I say congratulations once again on your 61st anniversary. May the Press Union of Liberia continue to shine as the beacon of truth and freedom in our beloved country. I thank you.
Put your hands together for the Secretary General of the Bar Association of Liberia. Thank you. And so quickly, a few of our guests are here, and they spoke to me secretly that they need t-shirts. Committee, please take 2 t-shirts to Councillor Tiawoze Gonglo, 3 to Councillor Finlay Kanga, 1 to the Secretary of the Bar Association, and you can also take 2 to Councillor Babu. Please, they told me to inform you. Let's do that quickly. Will you give them money? And the people say we'll bring t-shirt. Yeah, so please take it to them. Yes, let's do all of that. Quickly.
So due to the time factor, please, if you come up here to speak, we are appealing to you at least 2 minutes because we have other activities right after this one. At most 2 minutes.
At most 2 minutes.
We are appealing to you.
We now invite the head of the office of the Ombudsman, Councillor Finlay Kanga. Please, Councillor, at most 2 minutes. We gotta go. In 9 minutes, the ambassador of the ECOWAS Commission to Liberia, who just spoke to us, will be leaving because she has other engagement. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to speak for 2 minutes. from a government entity that is responsible to investigate, monitor, and enforce the code of conduct. There's a protocol that is here. I don't know who will count the 2 minutes, but I'd like to continue my 2 minutes as being provided to me. I'd like to take this time to thank the guest speaker, my secretary and president who just spoke, the president of the PEL and the membership for this opportunity to invite the office of the Ombudsman to this celebration. I must also take this time to say thank you, my dear friends and colleagues within the media. Thank you for your protection, your advocacy, and your continued engagement with me personally, not as an ombudsman, but as Councillor Kanga. You kept me alive today. In a time that I could not freely walk around, I could not stay to my house. It was difficult for me to advocate for many of the things I believe in. But you, the President, continue to protect me. Now I have the opportunity to celebrate with you on the day that you announced 61 years. And I've been told to speak for 2 minutes. It is both an honor for me to stand before a protector of mine and to make remarks, especially a time when we need to commemorate the past while we concentrate on building the future. Not only for the President, but for the people of Liberia. We listened keenly to the guest speaker when she indicated that as a result of assessment, she realized that Liberia is really underdeveloped. A country that prides itself for being the oldest country on the continent. So we are got to commemorate those years, and we are got to rebuild or begin building in a new way. A way that promotes integrity, accountability for us all. A little over 6 decades ago, a group of visionary journalists came together with a shared conviction that a free and independent press is a bedrock of thriving democracy. Today, we gather not just to make remarks on the 61 years of the President of Liberia, but to honor the immense legacy of those who came before us and to recommit ourselves to the sacrifices those before us made. It may be a good thing to note at all times in this gathering to remember those journalists that paid the price. Those price that they paid led us here today. I understand there were journalists that were killed for protecting the profession. Remember them as we celebrate these 61 years of existence. The theme for this celebration is so key. Commemorating the past for me, it is a legacy of courage. Let us take a moment to remember the struggle, the challenges, and the success of the President. Of recent, the President had a difficulty, a challenge, but you, as a union, was able to bridge that challenge by forging a new unity. We need to celebrate ourselves for that. The present, I see as our challenge, a challenge that we will see as a reality. Today we stand on the shoulder of those who came before us. But the landscape, the media landscape has actually changed. We have moved from tape records to smartphone, from radio bulletin to the social media and streaming. The speed of information is breathtaking, but so are the new challenges that we have. We now battle a different kind of tyranny, a tyranny of misinformation and disinformation, where lies are weaponized and spread at the speed of light. We face economic pressure that threatens the sustainability of the president. And at the same time, we are still confronted with challenges that seek to lower your voice and limit your space for operation. But overall, the president has withstood those challenges. Considering the future, I regard it as a collective responsibility for all of us, not only the president, but those who now find ourselves in government. We have a challenge. We should begin to have a new thinking. That new thinking is to see Liberia as a country we have, to love Liberia as a country we have, and to work for the public interest. Working for the public interest means once we are going to job, we should first look at ourselves, our wives if we have them, our significant others, and say, I'm working for the people. As you go and walk the street to your office and see the young men and women along the side of the road, see them as those that you work for. As you sit in the office and you are supervising others, see it as those of the people you work for. We must construct a feature of unshakable integrity, as was discussed by the guest speaker, and as earlier mentioned by the president. We are in an age of fake news. Our commitment to verification, fairness, and ethical journalism must be our strongest currency. We must be a beacon of truth in a force of confusion. Let us invest in fact-finding, in training, and in holding ourselves to the highest standard of the profession, as we discussed by the Liberia Bar Association. Second, we must construct a feature of innovation and sustainability. We must embrace new technology not as a threat, but as a tool to tell a better story, to reach wider audiences, and to build business models that ensure our industry. The future of the president is digital, entrepreneurial, and love for country. Let us be bold to stand for those. And finally, we must construct a feature of strengthening partnership. Our role is not to oppose the government for opposition's sake, but to be critical partners in the nation building. We want the government to see a free press not as an adversary, but as an essential ally in the fight against corruption, in promoting good governance, in fostering an informed citizenry. We urge the president to continue to foster and protect the Abdullah Kamara law that protects, not punish, journalists. We must certainly use the current to protect good governance, such as the Freedom of Information Commission, the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, the Whistleblower Act, the Witness Protection Act, and we can just name them. We should appreciate some efforts that have been made by our government. These efforts are meant in order to enable us to live a new day wherein all of us are to be accountable for our actions. In closing, let us remember the purpose of the president 61 years ago and see how we can rethink the purpose if there is need to do that. Wise thinking, remember the code of conduct, which provides a standard of behavior and conduct required of all public officials and employees of government. The code of conduct guides, regulate, and show compliance with norms and behavior required of all public officials and private officials. The president is a subject of the code of conduct. How is the president subject of the code of conduct? The president's interaction with government brings it into contract with the government. As such, the president is to comply by adhering to the code of conduct. The code of conduct requires you at all times to be ethical in your activities and to be fair in your reporting and to study hard for the betterment of us as Liberia. Long live the President. Long live Liberia. It's time to build an ethical society. Thank you. How many?
1.5 minutes. Wow. Many thanks to Councilor Philip Kanga. We now move on to the Executive Director, Councilor Jalal Forum. Please, let's routine the 2 minutes duration, please. We beg you.
And we accord councillors in line. So
thank you very much. Thank you very much. Congratulations to the PUL. So I don't have much to say here except to congratulate you on this very, very wonderful occasion. 61 years is not small. And I'll tell you why it's not small. Every day puts my handsome face when they think I'm a young man. I am 61 years old. So the president is my twin in a way in terms of the years. Mr. President, I ask you to please come up. As I congratulate you, I want to say to you, I just asked you a question. Who was the first president of the PUL? I know you told me exactly who he was, and I know kind of study his history, and we know fully well that he was press secretary to President Tubman. You know that? He was. And then a government official at that time, struggling to ensure that press freedom is in the country, is commendable. So I'd like to give you Mr. Henry Peoples' photograph, which my office decided as your partner present to you, keep it in your office, and I assure you that we are your partners indeed. Again, I want to say on your project, this is a wonderful vision. It's not an easy thing to do. Mr. President said right here, it's nothing easy. While I congratulate you in your leadership, I am very impressed by the support of the members who endorse that so much. Who am I? If the members of the PUL, my own partners, are working for, even though money will they have, where there is the will, there is the will. So I want to contribute initially. If in the future God blesses me, I'll be a blessing to the PUL. I'm giving you $100,000 as a contribution to your project. Congratulations. I wish you well. I stand with the PUL. I assure you if there's anything I can do, don't hesitate.
At this point, we will invite Councillor Tiago Sengongo. And Councillor Gongo, he told me that I will speak for less than 2 minutes.
That's fine. I'm not going to negotiate that. But I will say a few things. You people are much better than those who practiced journalism before you 50, 60 years ago. Tuan Ray, in 1955, thereby in the 1950s, wrote one article in the Independent newspaper saying that the legislature was being controlled by the executive mansion. Because of that, he was held in legislative contempt. I believe it was 55, the historians are either 51 or 55. And then his editor-in-chief, Bertha, I think the name was Bertha Bacon, an American woman. Bertha, right. She decided to write an editorial, the grammar for legislative contempt too. And then, at that time, once you marry a Liberian as a foreigner, you became automatically a Liberian citizen. So she was married to a Liberian citizen. My understanding, Thomas said, your father was 5,000. Why didn't you put her?
And they say because the alien nationality law says once you marry a Liberian citizen. Because of this member of the press union, this journalist, they changed the law to say marriage alone is not enough. It was because of the practice of journalism. So you see, I don't want to put somebody in jail. Now you go, you publish without going to jail. So you have a chance to improve. Don't be saying the other person will not be contacted for comment. Why the hurry? Journalism is not an emergency room. Don't be saying, oh, we tried to contact the other person and we couldn't get their phone. You don't have a story yet. Don't publish. I see a little bit of stand-up people. I was the lawyer for stand-up people in 1995 when he and James Situa, the editor-in-chief of the Daily Observer, and he, publisher, were put in jail by Joe Tate, the late. I finally recouped and got him out of jail. Our relationship remained intact until. So you talk about stand-up people, I know, because I have to also keep me out of jail. I've been with the press union a long time. Let me declare to you, one of the reasons I decided to be Solicitor General was to protect the press. President Salim is alive. She called me in America and said, I'm making 3 offers to you. Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Chief Legal Advisor to the President, and Deputy Minister of Justice. After 1 week, I called and I said, I want to be Solicitor General because we campaign for press freedom. I want to be the gatekeeper so that prosecution can be changed from persecution to prosecution. And I see one man sitting before me on Radio Veritas, Frank Sewella. I got visitors from the executive marshal who came to me. Mr. SG, you heard what Frank Sewella was saying about the president last night? I said, so? What do you mean so? The man was lying about the president. All kinds of things the man was saying. What do you want me to do? I'm not saying you should arrest the man, but just invite him. So I said, sir, the way the Ministry of Justice, the Office of Solicitor General, they operated in the past with journalists, even if Jesus Christ was sitting here and invited a journalist, the journalist would be afraid to come. I am not inviting a journalist. So but why the man I said, why did you keep Veritas on? If it made you so angry, you just switch the radio off. Then I said, well then next time, listen to EFBC will never say anything that will make you angry about the president. I said the other thing to do is the way you are angry like that, you should just play ELW to play 9 major music. Then you have he said, but actually the way you have to say, I said, yeah, we can pay for free speech. Let me tell you what I'm here to do. I'm here to give equal protection to the speech that will make the president to cry, just as much as the speech that will make the president to go on laughing spare. Protection of the speech of press means to protect all without distinction. I said, so if somebody says President Salim is the most beautiful woman, and somebody else says she's the ugliest woman in the world, both speeches are entitled to equal protection by the government. That's what I'm here to do. So when they kept coming to me, I drafted, I think Peter Kroger is here, but we're not far. I drafted what was turned into as the Kamari law. I drafted it in 2009, sitting as Solicitor General, because the young people around the country were attacking the lawmakers about the development fund or anything or whatever. Every time they were putting them in jail, for the county attorney, go and enter another person's part, the person right to speak. So I said, let me write, because if the government leaves power, somebody else will use the law. So I wrote an act to repeal sedition, criminal malevolence, and criminal libel against the president. I gave a copy to Peter Bogwe. I sent it to the president. I gave a copy to the members of the Senate. I gave a copy to my boy man, Philippines. And I'm happy that that speech, that act, that bill was passed many years later today. So I've had my own contribution. That means that one person can change the situation. So I joined the Bar Association to challenge you to set standard. Licensing, you can de-license people when they misbehave, they will not practice. You know, when I became president of the bar, I said, we have all the quacks, what do we do with complaining? I introduced the licensing system. And today, no quacks can buy it. It works. It has worked for the bar, and I believe if you institute it, you will not be crying again for quacks. People there think that because you can read and write, you're a journalist. It's a noble profession. Recently, I went and said and spoke about mercenary journalism out of frustration because I'm a friend of the press. I've defended almost every media institution, from Daily Observer to Front Page Africa, to just all the papers, the radio stations. Why was I speaking of them that way? Because, you know, in order to be a good father, you have to take the switch to school away. So that's what I did. I'm saying, your friend, thank you very much.
That's the talk talking Bongo. So we'll take more remarks, and the hall is getting empty. Please come back. We have to end the program. It is our program. We have to be here. We have to end the program. So we call on the proxy from the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunication. It's from the communication sector. Leighton Biaga will make remarks on behalf of the Minister of Posts and Telecommunications.
Thank you very much. So, I'd like to say all the existing protocols and protocols out again. I'd like to recognize again the senior veteran from Grand Baptist High School, Mr. Clark, who's a veteran, and we also have Director of International Organizations here, Mr. Jerry Seaboss, one of the members of the PE of Liberia. So basically, I would like to change the periods. With one of the beautiful speeches, or quotation, and then there's only one objective. That is to say, beginning January 2026, there should be a kickstart of the president of Liberia. So the keynote speaker set the platform already. She laid the base, the foundation of motivation of the PL. So I see no neighbors will make beautiful speeches of motivational speech again, but we're directed to the point. On behalf of the Office of the Minister of Posts and Telecommunication, Mr. Sebu M. Komanda, head of the telecommunication sector of our country. Firstly, he told me to reiterate this to the President of Liberia, that you have been far away when it comes to the telecommunication sector in collaborating with me. As we speak, Liberia now is about to achieve a first digital village. And there's a space there for you as well. As we speak currently, Liberia is on the way of getting a second submarine cable that will provide redundancy in the internet connectivity of our country. There's also a space there for you. As we speak currently, we are trying to have the Act of Cybersecurity, as you are told that it expires in 2005 during the ex-president was in Ria. We are also with the legislature to ensure that that has been passed. It is also in line with you. So he told me to kindly invite you over to the office next week, Monday, where there will be a formal meeting discussion that will go on that will incorporate the PEO with the telecommunication sector of Liberia. Thank you so very much again. My name is Nathan.
Thank you so much. At this point, let's invite Professor Richmond Anderson for remarks. Professor Richmond Anderson, 2 minutes. You know that people, but you know that. You say you're talking for 1 minute.
Happy anniversary PUL. As you turn 61 years today, I want you to curve a philosophy, and that is, why am I a journalist? Why am I? Go do your own research and answer that question. Then you see your value. I don't talk much, I want to just congratulate the president, the executive members, and you all from the counties to make this occasion a wonderful one. Give yourself an arm. Okay, you know, we are still in the classroom. When I did, let's check it. Anyone there? Good. We must leave a mark. I was gentling the president and said, what role does he want me to play in the PUL? I'm available. Before I take my seat, Madam Chairman, please get my number from the president and pick up a check of $100,000 on Friday. Call me without a failure. Anyway, just call me. You'll get a check, okay? And the check will be in the name of PUL. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prof. Again, we will invite a representative for the Liberia Telecommunication Authority. Okay. We're moving on. We will also invite former presidents of the Press Union of Liberia. Let me specifically recognize former President Peter Bukwi. Put your hands together for our former president.
Good afternoon. Hello. Mr. President and colleagues, it's good to be here. Unfortunately, most of our guests will be innovative with lawyers here today. I think it's good, Mr. President, to be a friend of the lawyers. Normally, I come from Lofa. We have a tradition. We respect our guests, so I don't want to take away anything from the guests, but allow me just a bit, and I'd like to apologize for doing what I'm going to do. You know, the debate about licensed journalists is as old as entry point. There's an argument that people should have a degree to be a journalist, and just imagine if that is the case. Just imagine if the lawyer was supposed to be licensed because he stood there and spoke the things he spoke. That debate has been on for a very long time. Very long time. It didn't start just today. And people who are legal rights advocates believe that any attempt to license a journalist is a recipe for strangulating the press. You will stop people from practicing journalism because you didn't like them to get a license. The lawyers can stand in a courtroom to plead law. Journalists can stand anywhere and write a story and report. That's the difference. No lawyer, Counselor will correct me if I'm wrong, no lawyer stands anywhere to do law business unless you stood in the court. Not even in the law school, if you are not licensed. It's different for us. This is speech. It's protected by international law. We talk about free expression. When we start licensing journalists, and I want us to expand the debate, I'm not fighting that lawyer who spoke. His sincerity about his speech is that he wants us to regulate ourselves. And that is where I come from. I'm a proponent of free expression, but also self-regulation. The press union must pay attention to self-regulating journalists in our country. It is important that we pay attention. That is why I like to call on Mr. President to pay attention to reinforcing our self-regulatory regime. It is important. If we didn't do so, these arguments, politicians will take them. This is a lawyer who spoke. Politicians, when they hold on to these arguments, they run with them and they make sure that it works. Self-regulated media puts off these kinds of arguments. So it is upon us to ensure that we strengthen our self-regulatory structures. The other thing I'd like to talk about, Mr. President, is that this press union that you lead must find some courage to put together an advisory council. An advisory council of eminent former members of the press. I don't want to say former leaders, because there are some very good people who did not become leaders of the press union. Some very eminent people who will advise the press union going forward. We had 2 years of conflict, locked up in court, and I believe that we had an advisory council that will check some of the things that were happening. We will probably not be there. So going forward, let me say this. When the press union went to court in 2022, the Association of Ghana Journalists was in court as well for elections. But you know why they didn't stay long? They have an advisory council that took that matter away and they went and agreed to settle. So all of those are self-regulation. We should not allow the politicians who are themselves violators of the space that we are operating in to impose their ideas of regulating us. I need to say that again. Politicians are some of the most reckless people we have in our country. Nobody picked them up. Nobody picked them up for the recklessness that they commit. But they pick journalists. Nobody killed politicians in this country for the corruption that we are all reporting. But they want to kill journalists. So these are our challenges, and the way to solve it is for us to take responsibility for our errors. A media that doesn't pay attention to the errors you commit, you open yourself up for statutory regulation, and the people who want to be licensed, you're giving them strength to pursue that licensing process. I am not fighting our lawyer. He has a very good intention. The intention is that us who call ourselves journalists must find the courage to regulate ourselves. If we did so, I'm sure that we will be fine. May God bless us and anoint our creativity.
Thank you so much to Mr. Peter Kokwe, former president of the Press Union of Liberia. We now call another former president of the union, that's PUL, Mr. Charles Coffey, for a brief remark. Please, 2 minutes.
Happy anniversary to all of us. Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, former leaders of the PUL, members of the PUL, ladies and gentlemen. We must move forward with this union. When we reflect on the purpose for the foundation of the union, which is intended to advocate press freedom and protect journalists legally, we should always be reminded that the dreams and aspirations of our founding fathers must be implemented. So let us forget our differences. Let us unite as a union. Unity promotes shared understanding, engages civil engagement, and facilitates collective pursuit of truth and social good. So we need to remain united. You know, self-regulation, as Peter was saying, refers to standards put into place to guide ourselves. But the proper implementation and applying it has to do with licensing. So I know that's the aspect they are looking at. But if we institute mechanism capable to lead us into a direction that will respect the integrity, that will ensure ethical journalism, that will ensure professionalism, promoting the image of the union, the public will not create a compelling need for us to license journalists. So those mechanisms must be employed. Should begin from employers of the media, practitioners, and various institutions. But I know we are moving forward. We are not where we were before. We moved from 1964 when our founding fathers, our legislative body, crooks and radicals were imprisoned, were association. We moved to a group of years now. We have acceded to the Table Mountain Declaration. We have repealed draconian laws, sedition, criminal malevolence. Now we are constructing the future as of the team. And we all use unite forces Let's forget our differences. We are one body. Let's unite for the good of the union. Happy New Year Day. May God bless all of us. Thank you.
Put your hands together for Mr. Former President. As a matter of fact, he is the immediate past president. We are building on his legacy. Thank you, Mr. Coffey. I'd like to recognize the presence of the Female Journalists Association, President Lisa Jassy. Wherever you are, please put your hands together for Lisa Jassy. We're just recognizing the auxiliaries now. We'd like to recognize the leadership of the Publisher Association. We also recognize the leadership of the Reporters Association, headed by President Willie Thomas. Put your hands together. I'd like to recognize the leadership of the Executive Marshal Press School, School Rental Association, Legis School, and all other auxiliaries under the Press Union of Liberia. Aliko, we also recognize you. At this point, I'd like to recognize and invite to the podium for special remarks the Independent Information Commission. 2 minutes, put your hands together. Hey, please go to your seat. Please go to your seat. We are still speaking. We are still speaking. Kanzo, we can find point the polo.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'd like to say, on behalf of the Independent Information Commission, we congratulate the President of Liberia for enduring 61 years of existence. 61 years is no small feat. And through those years, journalists in Liberia have been first witnesses to history by gathering news, being on the scene to report actuality of happenings in various sectors of our country. That has been your duty. That has been your contribution to our society, to our democracy, and we must recognize that. The Independent Information Commission, as you know it, is a friend and very important institution and collaborator of the President of Liberia, because freedom of information is intrinsic in the freedom of the press. Freedom of information allows journalists to have access to government health information and report the facts that clearly shows accountability and good governance in our society. So we want to assure you of our willingness always to collaborate with the President of Liberia. We thank you for supporting us, and we look forward to further collaboration. Congratulations and God bless the noble profession in Liberia journalism.
Thank you so much. And so quickly, we'd like to recognize the presidents of the Liberia Council of Churches. We also like to recognize the presidents of the National Muslim Council, and we will also recognize the presidents of the Interreligious Council of Liberia. Put your hands together if you're here. We'd like to recognize it. Let me also recognize one more remark. There we go. One more, then we'll be outside there to go jolly. Now, I'd like to recognize Mr. Jonathan Pele. Put your hands together for the big brother. Let me also recognize Mr. Frank Siwona. I want to also recognize Mr. Edwin Clark. Let me also recognize Mr. Joseph Charlie. And now, let me recognize the office of the Office of Communication, Ministry of Justice, Mr. Juturu Uatikoli. I'd like to recognize Mr. Hassan Kiawu. Let me also recognize Mr. Joe Tuawanda. He will continue that they will not go, but all of you, let me recognize all of the big brothers and colleagues in the media. Congratulations for your 61st anniversary. Let me now invite the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism for a special statement.
Good afternoon, my distinguished colleagues, and happy anniversary to every one of us. Today, the Minister of Information, Minister Pia, would have loved to have been here, but it's on international engagement. And also the deputies have also spread also matters of concern of the state. And I, being one of the oldest members of the President of Liberia within the senior management team, within the senior management team of the Ministry of Information, I'm told to represent the minister here. Mr. President, Madam Vice President, distinguished guests, the Ministry of Information and the President of Liberia has a unique history of collaboration and full former presidents of the 23 presidents that Yada, the President of Liberia, all served as Minister of Information. Minister Niger, Minister Warity, and Minister Warity, Minister C. William Allen also as along with Elizabeth Hoff. Prior to the formation of the President of Liberia in 1961, when the issue happened with Stanton Peabody, all the meetings were held at the Liberia Information Service, now turned to the Ministry of Information. And all former president or president of Liberia, I think 11 of the 23 former president of the President of Liberia either worked at NICAT or served at Liberia Broadcasting System, but they came from under the government communication arm. Jonathan will know, Franco will know, Hassan will know, prior to becoming a member of the President of the President of Liberia, if NICAT LPS block does not go to you, you won't go. We all know that. And most of my colleagues that I practiced with back in the days, some are here. I think I can recognize a few of them. Frank is here, Hassan is here, and Joe Warner is here. So, Mr. President, you touched on something about self-regulation. And graciously, Mr. Peter Kokwe is here. I think I saw someone like Tia Duma, who started it in 1998, in administration of President Massaly. We showed that there's a self-regulation of the President of Liberia. There was a huge battle between the Ministry of Information and the President of Liberia during the administration of Joe Walba. And that's for that reason why the issue of media registration, journalist accreditation, was given to the President of Liberia, and the Ministry of Information retains, the state retains the right to accredit media institutions. And that particular MOU was restated during the administration of Peter Kokwe as President of the President of Liberia, and Minister Louis Garcia Brown was Minister of Information. That particular MOU was restated. So, I would like, Mr. President, let us reinforce all of our self-regulatory mechanism. It will be good for the Ministry of Information, who don't want to regulate the media, but want to be partners of the media. And most of us in government feel the media also believe that the media is a strategic partner of our government's path within this country. You can never go without the media, and the media can never go without the government. His Excellency President Barker made mention of the Liberia media and government relations at the recently held, at the last held presidential media dinner, where the President of Liberia made a very good inspirational remark. Concerning self-regulation, it is the expectation of the Ministry of Information that the National Media Council, which was last constituted, I think around May 2022, be reconstituted annually. We don't want the Media Council to have 2-year tenure, 3-year tenure, they kill the spirit, they kill the intent of them being aggressive, of them being more rigorous when it comes to self-regulation of the media. So why to be an annual reconstitution committee of that particular council? And it should be creme de la creme of professionals within the media, lawyers. I remember the churches, the National Muslim Council was represented, the National Civil Society Council was represented on our National Media Council. It should be multifaceted council. It shouldn't just be about us. So concerning our relations with, in furthering our relations with the media, the Ministry of Information is recommending a quarterly, if not semi-annual, Government of Liberia media engagement. The semi-annual or the quarterly engagement with the media will cement, will also, for lack of a better word, will also resolve or avert a lot of issues that may arise between, a lot of issues that may arise when it comes to the media and government relations. And it's something that we'll sit on the table, we'll look at, and something that the Ministry of Information is open to discuss with the President of Liberia on. And also within our same spirit of the MOU that the President signed with the PUL, I would like for the PUL to encourage its members in line with the MOU provision to kindly update their registration with the Ministry of Information. It's very clear. The PUL is responsible for individual accreditation. The Ministry of Information is responsible for institutional accreditation. It was a gift from the thank God, E. Freddie Bay, one of my colleagues at that time, still around, still remember those stories. So without much ado, Mr. President, Madam Vice President, official of the President of Liberia, I would like to clearly state here that the media freedom in this country is improved under this administration and any other administration of the past. If you look at the Global World Press Freedom Index, I don't want to give you the source, the exact source, but go to World Press Freedom Index. All of us have access to every one of us has access to the internet. Let us solve it and see the improvement of Liberia's stand when it comes to press freedom. I think, Mr. President, for the first time in the public manner, I slightly differ with you as an institutional member. But there are improvements, and our relations will be cemented when we begin the holding of the quarterly or the semi-annual Government of Liberia Media Engagement Forum. Without much ado, on behalf of the Ministry of Information and the Government of the Republic of Liberia, we congratulate the President of Liberia on this auspicious occasion of its 61st anniversary. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's from MICAT. That's the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism. We'd like to recognize the presence of the former Deputy Director General for Administration at the Liberia Broadcasting System, Madam Titi Okajudo, and also the former Deputy Director General for Technical Services, Sylvester Young, and the veteran journalist Aaron Colley is also there. Thank you for being here.
Yes, we also want to recognize Mr. Christopher Salim for joining together. I also recognize Mr. Evangelist John Sharif. For bulletins, we will invite Madam Siata Scout Johnson, former President of the Female Journalists Association and a member of the Anniversary and Resource Mobilization Committee.
Thank you.
On behalf of the organizing committee, I want to say thank you to everybody, our distinguished guests. We say thank you for coming to the organizing committee. We say we are grateful for your hard work. I remember many days and many nights we would be online up to like 2-3 a.m. We say thank you, Mr. President. We also thank you for your vision, because while we be online till 3 a.m., you wouldn't say I'm the president, I will fall asleep, you'll be there with us. We say thank you. So the members of the Press Union of Liberia, this is our project, Airport project. We look forward to your engagement, and we look forward to your involvement. I want to say a special thank you to Commissioner Clarence Nasokwe of the LTA for your support. Let's give it up for him. And also a special thank you to Honorable Sopena for his support. To our special guests, our media executives, to everybody refreshment will be served, but to the special guests and the media executives, you will have a refreshment in the conference room of the Press Union of Liberia. And to all of us, we will go under the canopies at the back for our refreshment. I know there are train fare on sale, and people are already started buying. I guess it's already finished because the hall is empty. So we say let's have fun to taste our birthday. Let's treat it like any other birthday. And on behalf of the committee, we say thank you, and to the Folk Estate, we say thank you for calling us. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Johnson. Just before I call for the benediction, let me also recognize Madam Sarah Hayes Coco. Those of you who here follow the Sarah Black show, put your hands together for that veteran. Thank you very much. Let me now call Mr. Momolu Bani, the Deputy National Secretary General, National Muslim Council of Liberia, for benediction. So immediately after the benediction, please, we'll all sing the national anthem, then we'll go out there for a group photo, after which we'll go for refreshment. You're doing group photo just right before the banner here. Thank you.
In the name of our most gracious, most merciful, all praises belong to Allah, the creator of the universe. He is the first and the last, the manifest and the hidden. He has power over everything. We thank Almighty Allah for bringing us here together, working for the benefit of the Press Union of Liberia. Almighty Allah, you are the one who directs us. You are the one that led us together as journalists. We ask you to continue to bless this union, promote it to the highest, so that Liberians and people of the world will recognize the Press Union of Liberia as one of the greatest in Africa and the world. We want to say thank you for everything. Continue to bless our director, our guide. We say this and then we'll and pray.
On hill Liberia.
Though you are
come here for the
And
group
so
photo.
that was the national anthem that concludes this indoor celebration. And next in line is going to be a general group photo that will be taken. But for an OBR of the management and staff of ITV Liberia too, as well as Lux FM 106.5, we want to say thanks for having us. And so we see our very own boss is there. Gata, she's also a part of this celebration. The team from Lux are well posed here. They are part of this celebration. The Lux FM family.
We are here, okay.
We want to talk to our boss. Boss, we want to say welcome to ITV Liberia and the University Radio as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, so today marks the 61st anniversary on the team commemorating our past and rebuilding our future. What does it mean for you as a journalist?
Well, let me firstly say I am so happy to be a part of the celebration today. And so we want to say thank you to the organizing committee and the union as a whole for this occasion. It is indeed a wonderful thing to gather as journalists, you know, oh, sorry. Yeah, so it's a wonderful thing to be here today. Well, the team, sorry for this. Yeah, so we hope moving forward as we build our future, we will come together as one union that will project the quality of the excellence that we are wanting, right? As you remember, the guest speaker said to you that the excellence, your vision is not in the building, rather it is in what you will do. So our work will speak, for the future that we envisage. So moving forward, we call, and we want to call on all journalists, it is about the union, it's not about individuals. So let us put our hands together, our hearts together, and move our union forward. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And so this is how I want to take leave of you, of course. This has been a Moses People presentation on this ITV Liberia network. Thanks for finding us.